What is up, all of you Regs and Shinies? It is Jackson from the 1313 podcast here, and I'm kind of bringing a review from out of the vault. It is on Jedi Master Plo Koon today. Now, if you are aware with what Hasbro is doing, they're kind of re-releasing some of the older archived Black Series figures, as they've done for a couple already, kind of like Hunter Crosshair, Rex, Fox, just to name a few. But Master Plo Koon is one of the ones that came out of that re-release, and I'm happy just because this was one that I had originally pre-ordered on Big Bad Toy Store, but I found in the wild at GameStop, and I was like, you know what? I like the Jedi now a lot. I kind of want to buy more Jedi figures and kind of shill into it, so I might as well get Plo Koon while I am at it. Now, before we do start the review, as you've seen with a lot of my other ones, this is the third version actually of the Black Series packaging, where in a lot of the other ones that I was showing off is the most modern version of it. So it used to come in a red box like this and have just a character like brief glimpse here. That's where the character would sit. And on the side, ooh, if the camera Oh, I didn't think about the camera distance. But this was Black Series figure. They would always just go by a numbered set and then the character's name. So this was the 109th figure in the Black Series line at the time. This is what the backs would look like. And yeah, let me move that out of frame here to talk about Jedi Master Plo Koon. Now, Plo Koon is a character I really liked in the prequels, and he wasn't really around much in Revenge of the Sith just because you kind of get shot down and that's all you see. But I wanted to at least get his action figure just because I enjoy him for who he is. Now, the figure itself, I will admit, you have to realize that this is a bit dated. So the features on it are also like that. And so I was a little bit underwhelmed by some of its posability and such. Now, the first major one that I'll show off too is that one of my biggest things for Black Series figures is to be able to hold and use their accessories. Obviously, Master Plo Koon here can hold his lightsaber, but he can't get his other arm over to hold it. I'm like almost forcing it across the body here, and I don't want to like move it any more than I need to, just because I'm just afraid it's gonna like break or something like that. So he can only do the one-handed arm for the saber, but I will take that out here and just kind of set it to the side. Now, if you did just watch my Black Series review of Jedi Master Soul, or if you didn't actually, I would really encourage you do, just because I talked about the soft goods robes on these figures, and I'm not really a huge fan of the soft goods robe on this. Let me just show you example A with the hood. Now, doesn't that look like he's going to attend a certain meeting for a certain group of people? I'm just going to put that down, but yeah, it's not that great. I mean, it's way too big. I mean, even if you try covering his head, it's just straight up comical at this point. I mean, look at that. It doesn't really do too much here, and there's no real way of getting around it, so I just let it drape on the back of the figure here. Since, I mean, that's how they really look when Jedi characters wearing it anyway. The hoods are kind of like longer in that way. So I can understand modeling it after that, but there is no practicality in him actually wearing the hood here. Now, as for the robe, I'm not actually 100% sure it comes off. So it is, let me show you here. It's sewed on in this bit right over here. I mean, I guess honest to goodness, there's a way you got to be able to finagle this around his headpiece. I'm just worried about bending these since they are plastic pieces and I don't want to warp them. And I don't really want to rip the tunic that it has here. So I'm just not going to try it, unfortunately. However, in terms of leg posability, they were still able to do that pretty well just because he has separated panels here of his Jedi robe that move out when you want to move his legs. Now, if I can just kind of throw it into a very quick one-legged kicking position, just to very briefly show off if it'll work. Okay, never mind. We're not gonna work too hard on that. I'll show it off when I show off the poses. But he also does have the pin system for Black Series legs, which do allow the legs, um, what's the real word I'm looking for? It doesn't allow them to move as fluently as some of the butterfly joints that we have on other figures, but let me kind of show off how this figure poses for you, though. So first, I kind of wanted to throw him into just kind of like I'm getting ready for battle pose. The cloak is kind of coming off, and that's why you can see the Jedi tunic underneath. But yeah, something just kind of almost dynamic. So the next pose here is kind of supposed to be like in the middle of combat. He's turning around to see the next opponent. Now his foot here where my pointer finger is completely flat, and the foot over here, you might be able to see it well, but he's just balancing on the toe piece here. So he still does have a little bit of better mobility in the legs. It's just a little bit harder to pose him in those ways as you were to like a more modern Black Series character. But let's get him into a one-legged pose for y'all. Ladies and gentlemen of the 1313 podcast, I might actually have to admit defeat. I cannot seem to get him in a one legged pose. I've kind of sat here for the last 5 minutes trying to get him something like an action running thing like this. For me, kind of personally inspired by the fluid movement of Mace Windu in the Tartakovsky series, but I just can't get him to stand. Some of his joints are just too loose, and they're not as strong as some of the newer Black Series joints, but maybe this will leave you with a challenge. If you end up posing him in a one-legged thing, you should join our Discord and just boast about that in there and how I can't pose action figures that well after all. But overall, is he a terrible figure? Not really. He just isn't the best to pose around. He's gonna look cool standing on your shelf with the rest of a Jedi Council, or in some sort of kind of like Clone Wars scene too, if you want Jedi there. And he can get into some basic action poses as you saw. Just nothing really too complex. So that was my own fault for actually knocking him over there. I will admit it. But as I was saying, nothing too complex, so don't expect him to be like the absolute most flexiest Black Series figure that you have ever touched in your life. But if you made it this far in the video, thank you everybody so much for watching today. Absolutely appreciate all the views and comments that we get on our videos. Y'all are the best fan base in the galaxy, so we appreciate the heck out of you. Now, if you ended up getting this figure in the re-release, let us know down below in the comments. If you can pose him better than I, let me know down in the comments. And don't be afraid to join our Discord too. We love talking about collecting news and a lot of other topics as well. But thank you all so much again for watching this review today. Mahalo and goodbye.